Hey guys, Lisa here. Welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, I want everybody to hit that subscribe button and thumbs up this video. Alright, today I am going to be sharing my domestic violence story with you guys, my stalker situation. When I first started YouTube, I told you guys that I was in a domestic violence relationship. Two, in fact. I'm not sure if I said that, but it's been two. So the one that I'm going to touch base on is the more recent one. I don't know if I've ever said this, but you all know I have 3 children. Carter, who is the youngest, he does have a different father than the other 2, and his father is my abuser, my stalker. Hate that it is that way, but that is the reality of the situation. So yeah, I'm just going to jump right in. About 3.5 years ago now is when he and I first met. I knew of him through my sister. She kind of hung out with him a few times as friends. And I've seen him, around a few times. I was in a relationship with the older boys' dad at the time. He and I started talking. Me and the older boys' dad's relationship was coming to an end, and he messaged me on Facebook, and our relationship started from there. In the beginning it was good. I'm sorry, I'm saying a whole bunch, but yeah. In the beginning it was good. We had a good relationship. It was fun, it was new, it was fresh. I was just getting out of a crappy cheating relationship, and he was saying nice things, doing nice things. So not so much doing nice things, but saying nice things more than anything. And it was just refreshing, and it was something new. So I jumped in it. My sister told me when she found out that I should stay away from him, that he was crazy, and I didn't listen. I still talked to him and everything a couple months into the relationship. I mean, like, in the beginning I knew he had a daughter, but once we got into a relationship, he told me that he had a record, and a couple things on that record was domestic with his child's mother. And I didn't think, too much of it, because he made it seem as if she was crazy and she was keeping the baby away and, stuff like that, and that she lied on him, and that's how he got the domestic case. I believed it because, I seen her keeping the child away, and his family was, co-signing what he was saying. So, I believed it. I didn't have any reason not to. I didn't know her. So, I talked to her before, and she was saying stuff, but, I didn't believe it. And so, I stayed going with the relationship. And as the relationship went on, he started using drugs. And, when he started doing that, it was fine in the beginning. It wasn't too bad. Some stuff that he would use, it was like, okay, that's a little bit too much what you're doing while you're off of it. It's too much. But it didn't bother me that much, because, I was just getting into it, so it wasn't bothering me too much. But he had went to jail because he violated the no contact order that they had between each other. And yeah, so I should have paused there and backed away from the situation then, but I kept going, and I don't know why, but I just did. For a long time, I felt I didn't want to be alone. I constantly had to be in a relationship. So I think that's more than anything why I continue to stay in it. But so his drug use turned into a full-blown addiction, and stuff started dwindling and getting worse from there. I did play a big part in it. I did some things that you're not supposed to do in a relationship. Like, I stepped out of the relationship, and me doing that on top of his drug use, was a recipe for disaster. So it brought out some insecurities in him, and with his addiction, it wasn't a good situation. And like I said, I've been in a domestic violence relationship before. So once it started in that relationship, I was like, I'm not about to back down and be no punk or anything like that and let him do whatever he want to do to me. So I would hit him and he would hit me back, and it's not okay. I don't think it's okay for a woman to put her hands on a man, or a man to put his hands on a woman, unless a woman's a UFC fighter or a boxer or something. The man's always gonna win, you know what I'm saying? So don't do that. I don't recommend anybody doing that, but I do have a temperament problem, so I get mad and want to put my hands on people. So some of the stuff I started a lot, but it's still, there's other ways I feel that a man can control what the woman is doing, so without using excessive force. But he, one time he put my head through the wall, and for a long time that wall had that hole in it, and it was just a constant reminder every day of that fight. And I had a concussion from that, a mild concussion from that, and still stayed. But like I said, just stuff started just getting worse and worse and worse. Then I got pregnant, and for a while stuff was good, even through his drug use. That was my biggest issue, was the drug use, because when he would get high, he would turn into a completely different person, just be agitated and aggressive, and I didn't like it, And in that relationship, I was the one paying all the bills. I was the one cooking, cleaning, taking care of the house. He would, work odd jobs every now and then. He hustled and stuff like that, but I did majority of it. So I'd come home sometimes, and he would have his baby there on the weekends. And, the baby's old enough, 5 years old. So, aware of what's going on and knows better. And I would come home and my house would just be trashed, you know what I'm saying, and he wouldn't clean or anything like that, and I was frustrated. So we fought a lot about that, and he tried to make it seem as though I didn't like his child, or I was, you know what I'm saying. And I did have a type of feeling toward it, because he tried to make it seem like my kids had to be sheltered back when his child was over there, and my kids couldn't do certain things when his child was over there. And now this is their house, you know what I'm saying? Your child and you really are visitors here. This is their house. Even though you're staying here, you're not on the leash, you're not paying any bills, you know what I'm saying? So you're visiting. They don't have to be confined to somewhere or do stuff or stop doing stuff that they're comfortable with doing because your child is over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't accepting that. Like, yeah, everybody puts their child on a pedestal, and I get that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking that away from anybody. I get that, but my kids are on a pedestal too. So, you know what I'm saying? And this is their house. So so we fought a lot about that, and he didn't understand that. And that caused a lot of problems. And he was more verbally abusive than physically abusive. I will say that. The worst thing about the relationship is the stalking part, which I'm gonna get into. Like I said, I was pregnant, and it was fine for a while. And more towards the end of the pregnancy, I just got fed up with all that stuff, like with him and his child dirtying up my house. And not saying that my kids are super clean at all, because they're not, but their stuff was more so clothes. You know what I'm saying? My kids are older, so it's more clothes. His child gonna leave bowls of food, cups, toys, everywhere, all type of stuff, just everywhere, just not what I'm used to. You know what I'm saying? I was not raised that way at all. But so I just got tired of it, and I'm like, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to be around you. I don't want you around me. None of that. I'm tired of everything that comes with you. I'm tired of it. And he was one of those people, well, I'm not leaving. Make me leave. And it was like, you fear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't you just leave my house? Like, I don't want you here. Just leave. You know what I'm saying? And he wouldn't. For a long time, he wouldn't. And then eventually, he got out, and I was so happy. But that's when the stalking started. Once we ended things and he moved out, that's when the stalking started. And I remember once I was 9 months pregnant, and he came over banging on the door. I didn't want to let him in. I act like I wasn't even there. And what are you doing?
I didn't know whose TV was that loud. I thought it was your TV.
And he ended up figuring out like I was there, and I opened the door, and he's running through the house screaming and yelling, like, why couldn't you just let me in? I don't have to let you in my house, number one. And why are you over here unannounced? You didn't tell me we were coming over, you just showed up, And my sister was living with me at the time, and she and her friend came in, and he started calling them bitches. And my sister is not one at all to be called a bitch and just be quiet about it. She's just not. So who you calling a bitch, and this and that. And he's like, I'll beat you bitches up and all that. So my sister felt threatened, and she let out almost a whole can of mace on his face. And I'm 9 months pregnant, and I'm standing in the middle of them while she's spraying mace. And I don't know if anybody, has ever been sprayed with mace or ever been around while mace was sprayed, but that stuff is horrible. Horrible. I thought I was gonna die. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. I'm 9 months pregnant. What am I gonna do? And I literally had my baby the next day after that. So it was just horrible. And then I had the baby. He was there for it, and seemed fine. But I still didn't want to be with him. I knew that demon was still in there. And once we were able to bring Carter home, I was like, I didn't want him to live with me, but I didn't want to take care of the baby by myself. Who wants to take care of a new baby by themselves? And I didn't, I hadn't had a baby in 8 years. So it's like, okay, I really don't want to do this by myself. So I called him that night when we got home, and I'm like, are you coming, to be here? He was like, well, I'm not coming there if I can't live there, and this, and that. So my back was against the wall, and I'm like, okay, fine, yeah. So he brought him and his child over and all his stuff, and everybody in the house was just uncomfortable. It was just a real uncomfortable feeling. My kids were uncomfortable. My sister was uncomfortable. Him and his child seemed uncomfortable, but it went on, and a couple hours into it, I realized, like, okay, I don't want you here. Like, I don't want you here. Like, I will take care of this baby by myself before I deal with your shit, because he was high and he was doing too much, and it was horrible. So we started arguing about that because I didn't want him there. I'm like, you know what? I don't even want you here. He's like, well, why would you have me bring all my stuff? I'm like, you put that upon me. You forced that upon me. You know what I'm saying? You said you wanted to bring all your stuff over here, and my back was against the wall. You could have just came over here and we could have just tried it out, and it didn't work. You could have left. You know what I'm saying? So you brought that upon yourself. Hey, he didn't see it that way, and we started fighting, and he punched me in my ribs, and I had just had a baby. And when I tell you that it brought me to my knees, that's what I mean. I was on the floor crying, and I could not breathe. And I had just had a baby. Literally, my son was days old, and I couldn't believe it. And that night, he did not leave. He did not leave, even though he wanted to. I sat up and I cried for hours. I was in a lot of pain. I cried for hours. And I can't remember if he left that next day or not, but I know eventually he left. And from then on, I'm like, I just don't want to talk to him. I still let him see the baby because I had to work, so, and I had to be at work at 5 in the morning. So I would, let him get the baby and stuff like that, and it was cool for a little while. But then, like, when Carter got about like 3-4 months old, that's when stuff like really took a left, because he started just constantly calling me, texting me, showing up at my house and screaming up at the windows, and it was just horrible. Like, he kicked my door in 3 times. He literally, like, kicked my door in 3 times. And I've had people say, like, how could he have did that? These doors are so thick and sturdy. Like, how? Like, yeah, he messed them doors up, in the same door each time. And he blamed me for it. He told me, well, I told you to let me in, and if you didn't, I was going to kick the door in. Why do I have to let you in my house? If I don't want you here, you're not on the lease. You don't pay none of these bills. We're not together. So why do I have to let you in my house, right? So I called the police a couple times, and, before that, I'm like, I don't even want to call the police because I don't want to lose my house. So I would call his mom a lot of the times, and she's telling me, well, you need to call the police, and you need to not let him do this. And when I'm telling her, well, you raised a bitch, you raised a psychopath, like, I don't know why'd you give birth to him? I would tell her that all the time. And I remember one time, like, he said he wanted to see the baby, so he was having his mom call me and trying to get somebody to come pick up the baby. And then I don't know why, but he ended up coming to pick the baby up. But he had got out the car and punched me in my head right in front of my older kids, and over a made up story that he made up, and said that he talked to the person that I was sleeping with. And now, mind you, since I've had my son, And since I've been in a relationship with him, I have not been with another man. I don't even want to be with another man. I've been through so much with men that I'm done. Done. I have no desire for nothing to do with a man, period. So that was made up, and he punched me in my head for no reason. And that was the day I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. You are not seeing this baby no more. I do not give a damn. And by that time, I had already got the no contact order, because the police told me when I started calling them, like, well, we're not going to really be able to do nothing if you don't have that paper, saying that he's not supposed to be here. And when they told me that, it was the next day that I had went and got it. And then that day was the day that he punched me in my head. And I was like, thank you that I got that, because now, I can do something about it. But that same night that he punched me in my head was the second time he kicked in my door. Up and showed up to my house. Then he tried to get a no contact order on me, telling them that I'm abusive, that I had somebody stab him, and all type of crazy stuff. And it's crazy because the night that he said that I had somebody stab him, that same night I had to call the police on him because he was outside of my house. He would take the top of my grill and put it on, because I have like screen doors before you get to my door at my old house and this house, but at my old house, and he would put it in front of the door so that if he was standing at the other door, he could hear if I was or if somebody was coming out of the door. That's how I would always know if he had been there. And I knew if he had been there because I could smell cigarette smoke. And sometimes we would be laying in the bed, and me, the baby, and the other boys, because they were scared, and I'd start smelling cigarette smoke. Or if they were sleeping, I'd be sitting downstairs in the front room watching TV, I would start smelling cigarette smoke. And I'm like, oh my God, he's here. And I don't know if any of you have ever dealt with anything like this, but it is the worst feeling in the world to know that somebody is outside of your house that you don't want there. And I hate it. I really, 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 really hate it. And the last incident that I can remember was me and the boys came home from work. After I had work, we came home. We walking up the hill. I see his car in the last parking lot behind my house. And I don't know why I didn't call the police. Or I don't know why I didn't even when it was cold. That's why. It was winter time. That's why. But I seen the car, so I was like, oh my God. So we went in the house. I told the boys to wait downstairs with the baby, and I go upstairs to check. And lo and behold, he is standing behind my kids' bedroom door. And I'm like, how the fuck did he get in here? And he's telling me, oh, you left your door unlocked. I never leave my door unlocked, especially dealing with that. I did never leave my door unlocked. And he climbed through the basement. He broke in my basement and climbed through. And I knew he did that because he had like leaves in his hair. So I knew that, and I called the police after he left, but we tussled before that. Like, he snatched my baby out of his hands, and I told him, I'm calling the police. He snatched my phone. He threw my phone, and he's like, I just want to see the baby, or if you don't let me see the baby, if you let me see him, I'll leave. I'm like, okay, yeah, you come get him tomorrow. And he left, and right when he left, I called the police. And they picked him up, and he went to jail, and that was in December. And he's been in jail from December 2017 to just September 4th this year, 2018. And I have a order of protection, and I have a no contact order against this man. And I'm not even kidding. This man ain't even been out a week, And he seen me and my kids on the bus, and he came up to me and my kids talking to me, and he's not supposed to do that. That right there was violating the order right there. He seen me again, and oh, let me just say, while he was in jail, it was the peacefulest time of my life. My kids were happy. My kids were calm. They stress-free. Everybody was stress-free. And I get out, and he sees us, comes up to us. The first thing my son said when we got off that bus, "I'm scared now." That's what he told me. And that's the worst feeling in the world, to know that your kids are scared. And there's not really much you can do about that, you know? And I feel like I'm failing them as their mom, because I can't take the fear away from them, because I have very little control over what this person does. So, but I seen him on the bus, and then I seen him again when I was leaving work. I was waiting for the bus, and then I realized I didn't have the change, and I looked up and he was sitting on the bus, and I didn't get on, but I didn't have no change. So I walked away from the bus, and then he walked up on me, because he got off the bus, followed me in the store, followed me back to the bus stop, rode the bus with me all the way to the grocery store, and walked around the grocery store with me. He wasn't aggressive or anything like that. I mean, he did throw a couple of threats out there, like, "I know where you live," and he told me my address. He knew I was doing YouTube now. He knew that I have a domestic violence awareness page on Facebook. Like, he knew all of that. And he told me, "If you don't let me see my son by the end of the month, I'm coming to your house, and I don't care." And it was just horrible. And then what really just prompted me to be like, okay, let me do this video, because I'm pissed now, is I woke up the other morning and I got some emails. He had hacked into my Snapchat and changed everything. And I'm like, you really had to be high. You really had to be tweaking, or I don't know what, to sit there and figure out my password. Because the funny thing is, I didn't even remember my password to Snapchat. So how do you know it? My email, that's something, you know, whatever. But my password, really? And when we were in the grocery store, he swore up and down like I'm not using it anymore. And I'm like, that's bullshit, because I know him so well that I know when he's high. You know what I'm saying? And then I had seen him again on the bus when I was leaving work, and he didn't say nothing to me. And I'm like, okay, he's not. That proved right there that he was high. He even, since he's been out, this is everything I'm telling you now is since he's been out. And he reached out to my dad. He went to my dad's house unannounced. That's how else I know you still using, because you just showing up to people's house unannounced. That's the same stuff he was doing to me. So I knew that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, are you really that crazy that you are still messing with me, knowing that I could put you in the jail like that? And you're going to do some long time, because this isn't your first rodeo in this. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I know he's using, you know. And then he started messaging me on Snapchat, because I made a new page, and he gave me my password to my old page. Thank God. Like, I'm so, because, you know, I have all my kids' pictures in there and whatnot. But he gave that back, and he's, you know, saying stuff to me like, I don't want to talk to you. And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to be around him. I don't want nothing to do with him anymore. He's done too much. He's done too much fucking damage. That's it. Like, I have a stalker. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you know how uncomfortable that shit is? And I feel like he was here because and let me tell you, with the situation that he did before he went to jail, they had to immediately transfer us into a new house for our protection. That's how serious this shit was, okay? So now we're in our new house, and he ends up getting the address And I know there's things that protect you to get your from people getting your address, and I just didn't do it, and I don't know why. So he went around the child support way, and you know, if you take child support, each party gets a paper, you know, and my address was on that paper, and that's how he got my address. So I felt like he was here because I heard knocking at my back door, and it was just little taps like doo, doo, doo. And I know I wasn't tripping because Carter went and knocked on the door back. So I'm like, okay, he hears it too. And then it went to the front door, and I'm looking at the people. I don't see nobody. So I honestly feel like that was him. And it's really crazy to me because, like, just leave us alone. Like, okay, I get that you want to see the baby and stuff like that. Like, I get, but I didn't take him from him. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do that. I did not say, yeah, let me get in this relationship, let it be abusive, let it have stalking involved, and let me have a baby and take care of the baby by myself. Yep, sure do, because, you know, I'm already doing that with 2 other kids. Yep, let me add another one. I didn't want that at all. So I didn't take the baby away from him. And I see why his other baby mom, you know what I'm saying, did what she did, because you're batshit crazy. And even his mom, when I had to call his mom and his brother over to get him away from in front of my house, she said, yeah, he did the same thing to his other baby mom. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you tell me that? You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't you tell somebody that? Like, I know your loyalty lies with your kid and all of that, but once your kid is batshit crazy and is a threat to women, you need to let somebody know what they're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we've talked. Me and his mom have talked. Good conversation. You could have been told me that, sweetie. For real. You could have been told me that. You could have been said something and let me know. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to be bothered. I don't. My kids don't want to be bothered. My kids are uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. It's a constant worry now that he's out. Like, when is the next time, or what could he do next, you know? So I just want him to go back to jail, and I just want him to leave us alone. I don't want him to be a father to my child. I don't know how that seems or how that sounds to anybody, but I really don't care, because I've been doing this long by myself. He's fine. He don't even know you. He's not missing you. You know what I'm saying? You have another child who is well aware of who you are. Focus on that. You know what I'm saying? Let that child need you. Be all that you can be for that child and leave us alone. That's all I want. I just want to be left alone. Me and my kid, that's all. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm still, this story is still being written. And I just want this chapter to end. I want this chapter to be closed. I don't want to be in fear anymore. I don't want my kids to be in fear anymore. You know, and all I can say is that if you're in this situation, as hard as it is to get out, it can be done. Get out. There is hotlines. There is places that can help you, and just get out of it, because it's not worth it. If he hit you once, he will do it again, and it just gets worse. It really does. Love does not hurt. It does not. I don't care what anybody says. Love does not hurt. So get out of that situation if you're in it, and just take care of you and be safe. And if you have kids, definitely get out of that situation, because they're gonna grow up and be messed up behind that. Kids are messed up from behind what happens and what they see as children. It is a fact. So that's my story. Like I said, it's still being written, and I just want the chapter to end. I'm tired of fighting it. I'm tired of reading it. I'm tired of it's still going on. I just want to be at peace. I want to be left alone. I just want it to be me and my boys and my cat, and just be happy and peaceful. That's all I want. But that's the story, guys. Hope you enjoyed it somehow. I hope it gave you another perspective from someone else. Hope you got something from it. If you have any questions about anything, just leave them in the comments. Any suggestions, leave them in the comments. And I would love to hear any of your guys' stories on what you are going through. I love to be of help to anybody that is going through anything like this. And yes, so this is the end of this video. Everybody, please stay safe. And men, women, whoever's in a domestic violence relationship, stay safe, protect yourself, and get out. Okay? All right, you guys. I will see you all in the next video. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button and thumbs up this video. Bye.